This is MTG Burgeoning, and in this video we are going to update and upgrade our Miirym Sentinel Wyrm EDH deck. Thank you for joining us for another installment of the Up and Up series. Today we are updating and upgrading Miirym Sentinel Wyrm. We have just a few cards going in, which means a few cards are coming out. But before making those swaps, let me take a moment to let you know that in the description of this video, you will find links to Miirym's deck tech, the up to the second deck list, and Miirym's video primer series. Alright, we got just 3 cards going in, and one of them is a land, so let's get right down to it. The first new card going into the 99 of our Miirym build today, it is Bountiful Landscape. This is one of the new cycle of MH3 lands. This one, of course, is the Temur variety. It taps for a colorless mana, but we can tap and sacrifice it to search our library for a basic forest, island, or mountain card and put it onto the battlefield tapped. This is an improvement over the Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse kind of quote-unquote fetch land, as we can use this land to tap for colorless mana. The land that comes into play is still tapped, and it's only limited to the 3 basics that were mentioned, but we're only playing those 3 types of basic lands in this deck, so we are not affected by its limitation. And if we draw this in the mid to late game and we don't really need the land, we can pay 1 each of our Temur colors, that's a green, a blue, and a red, and discard this card in order to draw a card through its cycling mechanic. A great way to fix our mana, a great source of potential card draw if we decide to cycle it away. It's going into the 99, and it's just going to replace a basic island. That's it. Not much more to say about that. Just another way in which to make sure we get all the colors we need to cast our spells. Alright, MTG BC, that was the only land going into the 99 for today. We've got 2 spells. One of them is somewhat controversial, but if you hear me out, I think I can sway you to my line of thinking. The next card going into the 99, it is Panharmonicon. This one should need no persuasion whatsoever, because whenever an artifact or a creature enters the battlefield under our control and it causes a triggered ability of a permanent we control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Remember, that's exactly what Miirym does. Its ability has that whenever a dragon we control comes into play, we create a copy of it. If Panharmonicon is on our side of the battlefield at the same time, we're going to get 2 of those copies instead of 1. And as an additional bonus, we have many dragons in the 99 of this build that have very powerful enter the battlefield abilities. So if Miirym is languishing in the command zone due to overtaxation, Panharmonicon can step right in and act as a somewhat reasonable duplicate of our commander. We're not getting the additional dragon, but we are getting the additional triggered ability. Remember, although we have so many dragons with those sweet ETB abilities, Panharmonicon will help out if Miirym is in the command zone, and when paired together, the game should be over soon after. With Panharmonicon's standalone ability going into the 99, it is going to replace Doubling Season. Now, this is the controversial card coming out, and I can just feel all of the keys being swiped across phones and computers all over the place, already lighting up the comment section with this swap, but let me take a moment to explain why. So, we all know Doubling Season and its doubling abilities, doubles counters, doubles tokens, very powerful enchantment. Here's the problems with Doubling Season in this Miirym build. We do not have a +1/+1 counter sub-theme. We do not have any counter sub-themes in this Miirym build. We only have Doubling Season in here to help play off of Miirym. If Miirym is indisposed and in the command zone, or we can't cast Miirym for whatever reason, probably because of overtaxation, and Doubling Season is on our side of the battlefield, it is a worthless card because we have no other way to create those tokens. Miirym is our token creator, so Miirym is necessary for Doubling Season's powerful ability to exist, whereas Panharmonicon can exist and help out the ETB triggers of our dragons independent of Miirym's presence on the battlefield. So with doubling seasons carrying such a high value for all types of decks that are counter decks and token decks, its presence is needed elsewhere in one of those decks versus the 1v1 ability of doubling season and Miirym in this Miirym build. So what we're really doing is we're taking out a very valuable card that doesn't have as much value in this build as Panharmonicon does. This is not me saying to you, take out the doubling season in your Miirym build. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I identified a doubling season as a weaker complement to Miirym than what Panharmonicon can give us. That's what we're saying. That's what we're saying, because if Miirym is not on our side of the battlefield, we can still function the deck pretty well with Panharmonicon, where doubling season is just nothing. You let me know your thoughts about that swap in the comment section below. I'm interested to hear what the MTG BC has to think about the Panharmonicon for doubling season swap. All right, we got one last card going in today. Card number 3. It is Life Finds a Way. Here we have an enchantment. It's 2 and 1 green mana, and whenever a non-token creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under our control, we populate. So, this is another interesting card that can be a somewhat sort of hedge for losing doubling season. Yes, it is a non-token, so the tokens that are created by Miirym will not be triggering Life Finds a Way. However, probably not every single, but the majority, if not all, actually because I think there might be a couple of dragons in this build that have powers less than 4. Let's just say we have a very, very high number of dragons that are going to have a power 4 or greater that are going to trigger Life Finds a Way, that will be able to populate and create one of those tokens if we already have one on our side of the battlefield. Again, if we can get one or more of those tokens with Miirym and then we lose Miirym to the command zone from removal, we still have Life Finds a Way to help creating those tokens through its enter the battlefield trigger of other dragons, and then the populate mechanic that triggers off of Life Finds a Way. So what we could really do, especially if that's paired with Panharmonicon, we are finding other ways to make the deck function if Miirym is being blocked. And let me tell you, Miirym is a lightning rod for attention. At least she has been for me. I don't know about anyone else in their play groups, but when I turn Miirym up and she's in the command zone, I know that she is going to be the focal point of every single possible removal spell, spot removal, abilities. And the commander tax gets pretty high, even in a teamer deck. So if we can find some other ways to make Miirym a little less dependent, I mean, don't get me wrong, when she's on the battlefield, the game is going to end very soon. But if we can find some ways to navigate her loss and still come out on top, i.e. throwing Panharmonicon in, i.e. putting Life Finds a Way, we're only building to the overall strength and theme of this build. And Miirym approves with arms wide open. With Life Finds a Way going into the 99, we have to identify a card to come out. Now, we are pretty strong with card draw. We are pretty strong with mana fixing and mana ramp. I mean, we're in the colors for it. We have teamer colors. We're all over the place with those 2 resource building abilities. So it may be in our best interest to, as a way in which to squeeze in a potential new win condition in Life Finds a Way, we're going to slightly weaken one of those areas. And the first card I came up with in order to find a way to squeeze Life Finds a Way into the 99 is to take out Orb of Dragonkind. Now, this was an artifact for 1 and a red, and we could pay a generic mana and tap it to add 2 mana in any combination of colors, but we can only spend this mana to cast dragon spells or activated abilities of dragons. So the mana that's produced by this is somewhat limiting in that we can only use it for dragon spells or abilities. We can also pay a red mana, tap and sacrifice the orb. To look at the top 7 cards of our library, we may reveal a dragon card from among them and put that dragon into our hand. It's rare that it's rare that the top 7 would whiff on a dragon, but we have the ability to draw so many cards that we don't need the selective and somewhat restrictive ability of what Orb of Dragonkind provides us with the card advantage. We would rather have Life Finds a Way. I mean, let's face it, for 2 mana, we're putting out this artifact that we need to pay mana to generate I'm sorry, we need to pay mana to activate its abilities each time you want to use them. Where Life Finds a Way is just 3 overall mana, sits on the battlefield as an enchantment, and helps the overall theme of what we're doing in the deck. We are not going to miss the mana acceleration, if we can even call it that. I think we could call it more mana fixing. No, I guess we could call it mana accelerating because we're putting 1 mana into it for 2, but that mana is a little bit limiting because we can only use it on the dragon creature spells and abilities. So, Orb of Dragonkind and its limitations are out. Life Finds a Way is in. And there you have it, MTG Some new updates to Miirym Sentinel Wyrm. It has been a minute since we've had any Miirym action here at the channel. I look forward to hearing your comments. I look forward to reading your comments in the comment section below. This is MTG Burgeoning, your channel for all things Magic.